Hello and welcome back to Fallout 76. Once again, I am at the Rusty Pick. The Purveyor is having a sale, and this particular character is pretty close to max Scrip. So I decided to come here and spend a few, hoping for something either fun to use or something lightweight that I can save and scrap at a later date whenever the legendary crafting system overhaul comes to the game. So I am at 5,794 Scrip, so almost 6,000. My plan is to spend 3,000 of that because ranged weapons, they're 25% off. That is what we're going for, is ranged weapons. So we have a lot to do, so let's just get right to it. First pull is going to be this. Troubleshooter's Gauss minigun with weapon speed, reduced AP cost. Troubleshooters is enemy specific. I'm not really interested in that. Weapon speed on heavy guns, I really like that effect as a second star. Reduced AP cost, this isn't a VATS character, so that isn't a useful effect either. So yeah, this will go right back in the machine. Next up, we've got a quad laser pistol with extra critical damage and damage resist while reloading. Quad could be fun. I actually do have one of these that is quad critical damage, but it has also reduced AP cost, which this does not. So probably going back into the script machine. Next up, we've got an Exterminator's Gatling Plasma with VATS hit chance and damage resist while reloading. My character's in power armor, so extra resist while reloading isn't all that useful. I don't use VATS, so VATS hit chance isn't useful either, and it's enemy specific. Just one note on the weight. If you see the weight on a weapon down there, that's not really accurate in terms of how much the weapon actually weighs, because the character does have a full set of weight reduction armor, so all of the weight is going to be reduced by 90%. Next, we've got a Junkie's Radium Rifle with limb damage, damage resist while reloading. Yeah, Junkies, I don't run any characters that have addictions, so Junkies really isn't a useful effect for me. Limb damage, I'm not usually looking to use this as a cripple gun anyway, so that's not really a good effect, and damage resist while reloading is just not something that I really ever want. Next up, we've got a Gourmand's Alien Disintegrator with extra critical damage and +1 perception. Gourmand's is a mid-tier effect. It's extra damage, but it's not, it's mid-tier. Extra critical damage, that is one of my favorite effects for these types of weapons. +1 perception. I'm not usually looking for specials on my ranged weapons, so yeah, overall this just isn't that interesting. Next, we've got a Ghoul Slayer Salvage Assaultron Head, last round, and weapon breaks slower. Okay, well, for starters, this is not a weapon that I really ever want to use. I've tried it a number of times, and I think it just kind of sucks, personally. Ghoul Slayer's extra damage against a specific enemy isn't something that I want. Last round isn't something that I ever want. Weapon breaks slower, it really depends on the weapon. Some weapons break really quickly, so that's a useful effect. Others, not so much. This one, I have no idea because I haven't spent enough time on it to know how quickly it breaks, and I don't plan to. Next up, we've got a Vampire's Lever Action Rifle with VATS hit chance and chance to become invisible. Okay, that third star, not useful, don't care, don't want it. VATS hit chance, that's actually a really good effect, especially for slower firing weapons when you want every shot to count, so I do like that. Vampires, okay if you pair it with Ricochet, so it'll help keep you alive as far as that goes, but the healing you get from this isn't going to be much. It's only 2%, and the fire rate is very slow. So Vampires is not really the star I'm looking for on a weapon like this. Next up, we've got a Furious submachine gun with bash damage and reduced weight. This is the right kind of weapon for Furious. It's relatively low damage in terms of compared to other commando weapons, and it has a high rate of fire. So that is the kind of thing you want Furious with. It's still a mid-tier effect in my opinion. Bash damage, this is just not a bashing weapon. 90% reduced weight though, that's pretty good. It means it's not going to take up a lot of weight in my stash. Next up, we've got a Furious Plasma Caster, damage while aiming, +1 perception. Unlike the last weapon, this is not something you want Furious in. This is a slow-firing, high-damage weapon. Most of the time, you're going to be one-shotting things with this, so Furious won't do anything at all. Damage while aiming, this is, if you do it that way, I mean, this is a heavy gun, and if I'm playing in power armor, maybe I'm going to play it that way, and an extra 25% on top of already the relatively high damage of this can be really good. And +1 perception, if you're aiming, +1 perception isn't going to do you any good. Perception is only going to benefit you when you're in VATS. So that second and third star really don't go together. And that first star just makes this kind of script for me. Next, we've got a Vampire's Broadsider with VATS hit chance and damage resist while aiming. This is not something you want Vampires on. It doesn't fire quickly enough to be useful. You really want two-shot on something like this. VATS hit chance, though, that's really good if you're using this in VATS. Damage resist while aiming, I mean, +50 isn't really enough to move the needle, plus that's an out of VATS effect, and the second star is an in VATS effect, so overall this is just instant script. Next, we've got an Aristocrat's pump action shotgun with limb damage and +1 agility. Limb damage on a shotgun is actually pretty good because the way it works now, that may change at some future date on the PTS, but the way it works now is that will be each pellet. So this is basically an instant cripple for the most part on a shotgun. So that's actually a pretty good effect. Aristocrats, extra damage, that's also a good effect. +1 agility, not really useful. I mean, overall, this is just kind of a so-so weapon, and I have better options available. Next up, we have the Fixer. What is this? Reduce your target. Okay, so this is suppressors with explosive and reload speed. So explosive is good on something like this. Extra damage from explosions, faster reload speed. That's a good thing on a weapon like this. Suppressors is just kind of terrible. Although I do kind of wonder if the explosive effect carries over the suppressor. So if I fire into a crowd and I've got Grenadier equipped, so I hit a lot of enemies with that explosive damage. I wonder if that affects all of them, if the suppressor's effect would affect all of them. I mean, I still don't want to use it, but it is something I'm curious about. Next up, we've got a bloodied auto grenade launcher with last round and faster reload speed. Faster reload speed on this is pretty good. They don't reload terribly quickly. The capacity's, for me, it's high enough that last round, I mean, I don't like last round anyway, but we have a capacity of 12. That means 1 out of 12 shots has a 25% chance to do double damage, which to me just, yeah, that's not useful at all. And bloodied, I mean, it's extra damage, but with these you really want 2-shot. So yeah, this will be Scrip. Next, we've got a suppressor submachine gun, replenish AP on each kill. 25% less action point cost. Okay, that second and third star work really well together. Not only are you getting AP back, but you're also using less per shot. So this would help you stay in VATS for quite a while. So that's actually a good 1-2 combination. Unfortunately, we're starting off with suppressors, which just, the duration isn't all that long, and it's honestly just not an effect you really need anyway. I mean, if it had a longer duration, maybe for some sort of support character, but the way it is now, it's just not an effect that I find useful at all. Next up, we've got a suppressor, another suppressors. We're always plagued by something. Today it is suppressors. So suppressors missile launcher, extra limb damage, faster reload speed. Faster reload speed on this is good, although they actually reload fairly quickly. I was actually kind of surprised. Limb damage, no, and suppressors, no. We're just looking to kill stuff. So we're not looking to make them do less damage. We're looking to make them do no damage because they're dead. So this is a throwaway. Next on the list, we've got a Juggernaut's Hellstorm missile launcher with last round and weapon breaks slower. What is the capacity on this? 4. I'm assuming there's some sort of multi-shot canister on this. I really don't know. I'm not an expert on Hellstorm. I just haven't used them. I've never had a good one, and I still haven't. Juggernaut's mid-tier effect, so, extra damage. Not my favorite, but it is there last round. I just don't want that. Weapon breaks slower. This is another one of those. I don't know how quickly they break. But this is just, it's not a combination that interests me at all. Next on the list, we've got a Mutant's Handmade with extra critical damage and +1 perception. This one's actually a pretty good starter commando weapon. Mutants is a mid-tier effect, so you can get up to 25% more damage. Yeah, 5 mutations for that. 50% more critical damage. That's a good way to go if you are playing that way. That's how I play commando anyway. This can be automatic or semi-automatic, but either way, that's a good star. +1 perception, it's just not enough to move the needle. After the Legendary Crafting update comes, at least the way it's structured now, that would be +3, which is a little more noticeable, but still, I'm not really looking for specials on my ranged weapons. Next up, we've got a Juggernaut's Black Powder Rifle with extra critical damage and weapon breaks slower. This is a weapon I can tell you from experience it breaks very quickly, so that is actually a good 3rd star. I do tend to prefer faster reload speed because the reloads are pretty slow, but if I can't get that, weapon break slower is my 2nd choice. So that's a good star. Extra critical damage, also a good effect. These do a ton of damage. Nice thing about critical hits is they're guaranteed hits, and something like this you don't want to miss. So that's a really good star. My favorite would actually be VATS hit chance, but that's my 2nd choice. Juggernaut's mid-tier effect. Extra 25% damage. Now, these have a pretty high damage already, so Juggernauts is good. That 25% is actually going to be meaningful. So overall, this is actually a pretty solid weapon. Next on the list, we have another Fixer. Damage increases as health. Oh, okay, so this is bloodied. Plus 50% chance to hit a target in VATS, +1 agility. Okay, this is actually really good. So bloodied Fixer, so a lot of people play low health, and if you're playing low health, this is, I think, the top choice. VATS hit chance, really good, although if you are using unyielding armor with all that extra perception, it may not be as noticeable, but probably a guaranteed hit pretty much every time. So that's actually a really good effect. +1 agility, especially if you're playing low health, that extra 1 agility when you're probably already wearing unyielding is just not going to be noticeable. So that 3rd star is really kind of a throwaway, but this is a really good 2 stars is what I would call this. Next on the list, we have a quad alien blaster with a VATS hit chance and chance to cause player to become invisible. Okay, 3rd star, throwaway. Don't care about that. VATS hit chance, really good effect. And quadruple ammo capacity. These actually have a pretty good, 168. So yeah, with quad, this goes up to 168, which is crazy. With the AP cost where it is, you're probably not going to go through that whole magazine but before you run out of AP, but still kind of a fun little toy. So far, we're getting some fun effects on some interesting things. 2 fixers so far. It has been probably months since I've had a fixer from the Purveyor, so that's kind of fun. Even though they're probably not ones I'll use, it's still kind of fun to get things you don't really see all that often. So let's just keep it going. Quad pipe bolt action pistol with weapon speed and damage resist while reloading. Pipe bolt action, I don't really want quad on this. What I want is either aristocrats or anti-armor, something that's going to give me more damage. Preferably anti-armor, honestly, just because this does not have a perforating magazine that you can put on. So I want that armor penetration. Weapon speed, I really want VATS accuracy. So plus 50% VATS hit chance is what I want. Probably it's the only way I'm going to use one of these because they are really buggy in VATS. And VATS hit chance makes a huge difference. So that's that. And reload speed or resistance while reloading is just not something I'm really ever interested in. These do have a pretty low capacity and the reloads aren't super quick, but I still just, yeah. Overall, this is just Scrip. Next up, we've got an Aristocrats Cryolator with bash damage and reduced AP cost. Aristocrats is good. It's one of my favorite effects. Extra damage based on your caps up to 50%. This is a really low damage weapon, so I'm not going to be looking to bash with it. Reduced AP cost is good. These have a pretty high AP cost. So getting that 3rd star reduced AP makes this a decent VATS weapon. And these are actually sneaky, which surprised me when I tested them out before. You can actually play stealth with this and stay hidden. So they can be really fun commando weapons, but that 2nd star really isn't useful at all. And I do have better options. Next up, we've got another fixer. Wow, another fixer. And this one is bloodied too. All right. Unfortunately, we have last round, which is terrible, and damage resist while aiming. Yeah, it's it's a good 1 star. So yeah, bloodied is good. The other 2 stars, not so much, but 3 fixers. Wow, okay. Next up, we've got a Nocturnal 10mm submachine gun with last round and damage resist while reloading. Okay. Yeah, Nocturnal, extra damage half the time, just doesn't interest me. Last round, never interests me, and anything, basically, if it's something while reloading, it's not an effect I want. Something while reloading or something while aiming on that 3rd star, I just don't want it. So yeah, this is garbage for me. Next, we've got a Berserker's M79 grenade launcher with replenished AP with each kill and bonus VATS critical charge. With something like this, you really want it to be 2-shot. Berserkers, extra damage is fine. 2-shot is much better. Replenish AP with each kill is not really an effect I want on this. I don't tend to stay in VATS with this. I would just fire it once, reload, and not be in VATS while I'm reloading. So I'd rather have VATS hit chance or extra critical damage, preferably VATS hit chance, actually. VATS critical charge is fine. I'd rather have faster reload since you have to reload after every single shot. So overall, this is just not something I want to keep. Next up, we've got a Bloodied light machine gun with extra critical damage plus 1 perception. Bloodied is good if you're playing low health. It can get up to 95% damage if you have a teeny tiny health bar. Critical damage, this has, you can see the AP cost is 50. So you're probably not using this in VATS. This is a heavy gun. You're probably using it manually aiming or hip firing. So that 2nd star is not that useful. And if that 2nd star is not useful, then perception isn't either. So this is basically a 1 star. Next up, we've got another fixer. Is that 4? 4 fixers. This one is Furious, replenish AP with each kill, and bonus VATS critical charge. Okay, this is probably, well, I don't know if it's the best one we've gotten, but it's a decent one. Furious, it's a high fire rate weapon if you make it an automatic, and that is kind of what you want on Furious, so that's pretty good. Replenish AP with each kill, help you stay in VATS longer, which is good. VATS critical charge, help you do critical hits more frequently. So overall, this is a pretty good weapon. Next up, we've got a Hunter's 10mm submachine gun with last round, faster movement speed while aiming. This is what I would call a trifecta of crap. So Hunter's extra damage against, it's enemy specific, which I don't care about. Last round, no thank you. And faster movement speed while aiming, again, no thank you. Next up, we've got a 2-shot gamma gun with chance to hit a target in VATS and weapon breaks slower. 2-shot and VATS hit chance is actually a pretty good combination. 2-shot does give you an accuracy hit, but extra VATS hit chance more than makes up for it. And weapon breaks slower. I admit, this is another one of those I'm not really sure. I've used the gamma gun a bit, but not enough to know how quickly they break. I do like the variety. I'm getting a good range of things, which is kind of fun. It's nice rather than getting just the same thing over and over again. So this is, I'm getting a lot of fixers though, which is okay. If you're going to get in a rut on weapons, fixer's not a bad choice. So let's keep it going. Nocturnal hunting rifle, replenish AP with each kill, plus 1 perception. Nocturnal, it's damage half the time, doesn't interest me. Replenish AP with each kill on something like this. Again, this This is not a thing that I'm going to stay in VATS for a long period of time, so I don't really care about VATS usage all that much. I'd rather have VATS hit chance would be on top choice, but extra critical damage would be good, explosive would be good. +1 perception just isn't terribly useful for something like this, so this is a throwaway. Next, we've got a Nocturnal Ultrasight Laser Pistol with last round and faster reload speed. Well, faster reload speed is good. I like that. Last round, no, thank you. Extra damage at night, again, half the time, don't care. So this is just going in the bin. Next, we've got a Junkies double barrel shotgun with weapon speed and +1 agility. Double barrels are fun. I really enjoy using them. They fire 2 shots and then you reload. And it's 2 shots really quickly too. Basically as quickly as you can pull the trigger. Junkies, if you're playing with addictions, extra bonus damage, which is good. I'm not playing that way. So I don't have any addiction characters right now, so this really isn't that useful. Weapon speed is okay. I'd rather have VATS hit chance or extra critical damage. And plus, in fact, weapon speed either. You can fire these as quickly as you can pull the trigger, so I don't know that weapon speed is actually going to be useful at all. So yeah, this is just junk. Next up, we've got a Juggernaut's 50 cal, replenish AP with each kill, +1 agility. Juggernaut's mid-tier effect, which is, mid-tier effect, so 25% more damage if your health is full. Replenish AP with each kill. You know, if you're running dodgy, that could be beneficial. You're probably not using this in VATS though. So, you know, running with dodgy is about the only way this is going to be useful. And honestly, if you're in power armor, which is how I would use this, you don't need dodgy. So that's not going to be useful. +1 agility, not useful either. So this is basically a 1-star weapon. And we've got Assassin's 10mm submachine gun. Bullets explode and damage resist while aiming. Assassins, we don't really need bonus damage against humans. Damage resist while aiming, don't really need that either. Explosive is fun, so this is basically a 1-star weapon. Next up, we've got a Berserker's Gatling Laser. Damage while aiming, +1 perception. Yeah, Berserker's on a weapon like this doesn't make a ton of sense. You're typically going to use that in power armor, which means the Berserker's bonus will be 0. Plus 25%. Well, actually, I guess it wouldn't be 0. I'm wearing power armor now and it's plus 5%. So yeah, I guess you can get 5% out of that. Damage while aiming is fine. I'm either going to hip fire or manually aim. That's okay. But +1 perception is really only going to help you in VATS, which is not the way I would use this. Next, we've got an Assassin's Gamma Gun. Replenish AP with each kill. Damage resist while aiming. Yeah, don't need bonus damage against humans. Replenish AP with each kill is okay on a weapon like this if you're using it in VATS because the AP cost is pretty high. Damage resist while aiming, not useful. So yeah, this is junk. Next, we've got another Berserker's. Oh, geez. Berserker Salvage Assaultron ahead, VATS hit chance, and reduced AP cost. That is a good combination of effects on a terrible, terrible weapon. So Berserker's extra 50% damage if you have no damage resistance. VATS hit chance will make you more accurate in VATS, and reduced AP cost will make it cheaper in VATS. But yeah, you'd have to pay me a lot of money to get me to use this weapon. So this is not something I'm going to keep. Next, we've got an Exterminator's Gauss Shotgun, limb damage, reduced AP cost. Reduced AP cost, that's a good effect. Limb damage on a shotgun is a good effect. You could either run with a lower rank of Enforcer or just not run with Enforcer at all. So it could actually save you perks. But Exterminators is bonus damage against a specific enemy, and I'm not interested in that. We are getting close to the end, so let's see what we get now. Hunter's Broadsider, replenish AP with each kill, weapon breaks slower. Broadsider, you really want it to be 2-shot, and this isn't, so we're just moving on. All right, this looks like, if my math is correct, this is the very last pull. So let's go out with a bang. Suppressor's Pepper Shaker with critical damage and movement speed while aiming. Okay, yeah, not so much of a bang. I would not be using this as a VATS weapon. I mean, you could, but I wouldn't be using it that way. I'd use it as a heavy gun, so critical damage isn't gonna do anything. Movement speed while aiming, just not really useful to me at all, and suppressors just doesn't interest me either, so we are going out with just really heavy script. So all in all, we got a lot of interesting things, a lot of fixers, which is unusual for me. I don't know that I've ever gotten more than one fixer, and it's been a long time since the last time I got any. So that's kind of fun, just to get some different stuff. Overall, though, I think most of this will end up back in the script machine. I'll have to sort through it because there is quite a lot of it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit one of the buttons, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Thank you very much.